Light No Fire news could be arriving at any moment as Sean Murray continues to tweet, and now we're hearing that they're making updates inside of No Man's Sky, so it might actually be something that they do in No Man's Sky. Maybe it's just a big update for No Man's Sky, but I am going to hold to my prediction. I think that his tweets and his hints right now are about Light No Fire, this Earth-sized first truly open world game that we're going to hear about probably any moment today or tomorrow, who knows. But the point is, if you haven't seen my video, okay, my latest upload, I walked through how I think we're going to hear about it sooner than later. I go through a variety of theories about, are they going to put this game, something inside of No Man's Sky? Are there going to be hints, clues, puzzles? I walk through all of those theories. I also walk through sort of predictions about release date timing, so be sure to check that video out so that way you can know what I think. And now it's time to hear what you think. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Thank you guys so much for being here to discuss the latest in gaming news here on Reforge Gaming. And there was a lot of stuff that happened last week. We kind of already touched the Game Pass thing, kind of covered that yesterday. I didn't do an upload. We just did like a live discussion. And then Kirk and I gave our thoughts about Concord, which is going to be open beta this coming weekend. And then today we're talking Light No Fire. So thank you guys so much for the support of the channel. We've already had some people renew during morning coffee. So if you are a member, that is the first segment of the day. We've already had 2 people do that. If you're member plus or higher and you renew, you get to add to the member goal. So the weekly goal this week's 500. We already have 158. You guys went crazy yesterday. So thank you so much for being here. Go through that morning ritual. Take a quick second as the stream just gets started and smash that like button. That little thumbs up button does a whole lot for us throughout the day. It helps more people find the video and find the content and find our great community here of people. Can anyone hear my thoughts? Yeah, I saw your joke at the end, Boycott. Yeah. Now it's time to hear your thoughts. That's right. I can't hear your thoughts, but you can certainly type them out and I can read them out loud. Going through your disc gaming stuff, seeing what you have. I have a whole box of like old classic games. I've always thought about getting them out and like decorate the room with some of the old, some of the old boxes. Just plop a huge planet in No Man's Sky and you can't land on it because it's the Light No Fire world. Yeah, I mean, I continue to think that they're going to do something inside of No Man's Sky to lay those hints. Some type of a puzzle, some type of an event. Maybe we got to go find clues. Maybe we got to go figure things out. I mean, there's a variety of things that they could do, with the game, with No Man's Sky. Again, I don't think they're going to I don't know if they'll put the planet in there. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe we discover it or something. Or maybe through the portal, it's like, no, you can't go through, and you can clearly see that's what it is. People are already leaving comments on the video here. Brad Devry says, I'm so looking forward to this game. I mean, so am I. I think right now this is one of my more anticipated games because it does seem like the game that's going to make us, I think differently about open world games. They're saying, it'll be the first truly open world game, which obviously is ambitious in and of itself. Like, I don't know if they're going to be harnessing procedural generation. It does seem like there are sort of bespoke or handcrafted areas, It seems like there's going to be campaign elements, but are there going to be portions of the world that procedurally generate? So, like, your Earth will end up as different as mine. Now, they do say procedural on the Steam landing page, so I'm assuming they're going to use procedural generation for some of it. It says a procedural Earth, a truly open world with no boundaries at scale never attempted before, a massively varied and dense planet filled with immersive biomes, unique enemies, and valuable resources to discover. So that to me tells me, it's like, okay, you're going to do something with procedural gen, but it also looks like there's going to be handcrafted areas, almost like, campaign elements of you go in and there's a guy and there's, a king or whatever it looks like, of like those like rabbit people. You playing Dungeons of Hinterberg? Really excited for that game. I may check that out with members. I don't think that's a video that I would want to do. Smaller or like less popular games, they're really hard to cover when you don't have the volume. It's like there have been plenty of indie titles I've wanted to check out, and I just typically end up checking those out with members or playing them on a Friday night or something. It's kind of a bummer because like I have like a laundry list of games on my Steam wish list that I would love to showcase, but it's just like you don't have that luxury when, well, not only that, we're not really a gameplay let's play channel. A lot of the channels that are known for that tend to be the ones that can play those smaller games. We tried that for a while. We had like a first look channel where I would like try out a brand new game and like upload the gameplay, but it just required too much time and energy. It was taking away from other content that we were trying to make, and we put a lot of effort now into that daily upload, and it's like I don't have time. It's an exciting prospect, especially given how long they've grown and expanded on No Man's Sky. If Light No Fire gets supported in the same way, it could be a long-term game. Yeah, I don't know what their aspirations are for it. Is it going to be a game that they do similarly that they did with No Man's Sky? Are they going to be updating it? You know, adding content, you know, every 6 months? Is it going to be all this crazy stuff? Are they going to be doing something like expeditions? Are they going to treat this as a live service game? And I know people disagree with me on this, but I think No Man's Sky essentially turned into a live service game. They turned it into a game that doesn't just get regularly updated. They have the expeditions, which are virtually one-to-one carbon copies of how they handle the seasons inside of Diablo. And to me, that combined with the way that they did the updates, the named updates, it's like, okay, that really feels like an ongoing game. It doesn't feel like a, you know, it doesn't feel like a game that you would just ignore after launching. Like, yeah, we're done, we don't need to do anything else with it. You know, it feels like a game that they would say, hey, we've got updates coming every 6 months, maybe DLC, maybe new areas, maybe new things to go do. There's a lot of ways they could handle it. I don't necessarily want it to be a live service game with like a battle pass and seasons and everything else, but I could certainly see them saying, hey, you know, this game looks like you're uploading a short. All shorts are automatically considered shorts until ad revenue sharing. Okay, this didn't get pushed live. I'll go ahead and push it live now. I don't have a related video category anymore. Anyway, it's not going to hit sub feeds. Oh, you do related video afterwards, I guess. All right, there we go. Yo, what's good, Pico? Haven't seen you in a while, dude. Here's an interesting thought. Will Light No Fire be the first next-gen game as far as we can call a generational leap? I mean, I don't know what you mean by that. Like, will it be the first next-gen game? We've gotten plenty of next-gen games. We've gotten games that promised and delivered on next-gen features. You know, we were told that the next generation would be higher resolution, things like ray tracing, things like 60 FPS. And we got all of those things. You know, the continued dialogue about how like we've not gotten the truly next-gen game, I think is subjective, and it's also just made up. I think a lot of those videos and a lot of those positions are they're intentionally negative because it's what gets clicks. Like, I don't think it's an accurate or honest position. I think we've gotten next-gen games. I think we've gotten really, really impressive games. And I don't see anything in Light No Fire that you would say, oh, that's a truly next-gen game. Now, you would say it's probably the first true open-world game or the most ambitious open-world game, but that, to me, is not what next-gen promised, because every game can't be an open-world game, right? Like, every game can't be this gargantuan-sized world that you can go explore. I think that would get old. I think sometimes it's nice to not have this giant open world. You know, I actually liked that about games like Stellar Blade. Rise of the Ronin, the open world, and the size of that game, it almost got a little tiring. It was like, oh, this is almost fatiguing near the end. I wish that it was almost maybe little bit of a shorter or smaller game. Now, that's obviously personal preference, but I don't think that like every single game should be open world, or if a game finally achieves something, like if Light No Fire achieves something we've never seen before, and it's like a truly, completely open world game, as in it's a world. It's not just like, oh, it's open world as in you can go to any region on the map, just ride around, walk around, travel around. If it's truly open world, that would certainly be cool, but that to me doesn't necessarily fall into the category of next gen, because if you go back to when this generation was talked about and promised and marketed, next gen centered around the technology, not like the substance of the games themselves. So you could have a next gen game that's very small in scope, but absolutely gorgeous and utilizes ray tracing, or it has a 4K ray tracing mode, or it has 60 FPS, or it has instantaneous loading, or more advanced texture mapping and motion capture of the characters or something. Which animal would you play in the game? I'm taking the frog. I don't know. I think based on all the books I've read to my kiddos, I'd probably be a rabbit, or if they're hares, I think, hares are cooler than rabbits. After reading Redwall to the kids, I think the hares they're some of my favorite characters in those books. The tech would be a planet-sized planet with no load screens. Okay, yeah, that would be next gen. I agree with you there, Dave. If you do an actual planet-sized open world with no loading screens, we would say, okay, that's next gen. That's this is utilizing next gen technology. This is delivering something that we were told would be happening during the next generation, which is the absence of loading screens. Like, you can just go wherever you want, do whatever you want, and there's, not at all. Yeah, Hellblade would be a good example. Hellblade 2 is undeniably next gen, but it's also incredibly short and contained. Like, I would never want to be like, oh, that's not really a next gen game because it's small or it's short. It's like, no, I think you can be a next gen game even if you are small or short. You hope that we don't have to be an animal. I mean, if you go to the official trailer, I do think everybody, I feel like they're humans, but maybe I'm just presuming that. I think there are humanoid characters at the very least. Light No Fire trailer here. 17 million views on their... Yeah. There's a human right here. There's someone with their hair pulled back. This looks like a human person with, like, horns. So, yeah, you definitely don't have to be an animal. It looks like there's all kinds of combinations of characters that you can come up with. Whether or not you want to be a polar bear, that's like an otter. Yeah, that's a woman swimming right there. Yeah, and then beneath there was a human as well. So yeah, you can definitely be a human. Yeah. I thought there were humans in the trailer, but I didn't want to presume that and then end up being wrong. But yeah, there's plenty. I like the idea of being able to play as both. I mean, that feels very fantasy driven. You want to be a bear or a fox or a wolf. Yeah, I might have a hard time not just straight up picking a wolf. I think wolves are pretty cool. I could definitely play as a wolf. But yeah, a lot of humans in those quick shots there. And that looked like a human jumping on the back of this dragon. The scope of these areas is what's pretty crazy, like when he goes over to this mountain. So we get our first glimpse here at, like, the sheer scope of the game. That's one of the things about No Man's Sky that I think is really enjoyable is... you go to a planet and there's this sense of size that's almost daunting. It's like, oh, do you really want to explore this whole planet? You know what I'm saying? And obviously the procedural generation makes it easy to say, well, I'm not going to explore the whole planet. I can peruse a 100-yard little area and then maybe go a little bit further, do another 100-yard little area, like finding stuff, cave systems, and the like. Any possibility of character customization? I mean, I would hazard a guess based on the trailer that you could customize your character, yes. Because I saw humans with, like, horns, and then I saw bears, rabbits, foxes, I think like dogs, almost just like a regular dog. So So yeah, I would imagine you can customize all of those things and pick what you want, you know, change the hair color of the animals. Now, it might be like a randomized thing. I think like in Sea of Thieves, you just keep pressing a button and you just keep getting randomized pirates. I don't know if they would do that in this game. I think this game is setting out to be like this massive open world, sort of like fantasy RPG. And if you don't let people make themselves look the way that they want, then I think that they would probably be frustrated by that. They would want to have that control and that volition over what they look like. So, guys, take a quick second. We've only been live for 15 minutes, man. Smash that like button. And as a reminder, if you're paying for your own membership, if you're on a Member Plus or a VIP, whenever you renew that membership, it counts toward the goal now. So don't forget to celebrate those memberships, man. At the bottom of the screen, you can hit that $sign. And if you are paying for your own membership, every month you get to do that little celebration and send a message. You can customize the characters in No Man's Sky. They will have that in Lightnofire too. Yeah, the customization of the characters in No Man's Sky is somewhat limited, but it is there. I think in this game, I think they would give you more control over what you look like. I personally think we can't call the PS5 and the Series X next gen until last gen is dropped entirely. I mean, I don't get that. I think that position's, with respect, I think that's a weird position. That basically means we're never truly getting next-gen games until, like, the very end, you know? I think that position's strange, you know? Like, until every single company says we're not going to make a game for the old gen anymore. It's never a clean break, homie. It's never going to be a clean break. You're always going to have third-party developers that have been working on their game for like a really long time, and they made it for the old systems. You know, next gen merely meant to convey we're in the next generation and we can now do these cool things. And if I'm getting those cool things, then I'm happy. Like, that's, you know, and that obviously that's me. I think your position makes it almost impossible to ever truly feel like you're in the next gen, because there's always going to be developers. There's always going to be studios that are like, our game can run on the old gen. You know, if you're playing a game like Brotato or Vampire Survivors, like those are the two games I've been playing a lot lately. Those could run on a calculator. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'd be foolish to not put games like that on the old gen. Old gen systems can run games like that rather well and completely efficiently. The Nintendo Switch can run those games perfectly fine. So I don't think you're ever going to reach this point in time where you're like, okay, we're truly in the next gen because nobody's making old gen games anymore. There's always going to be this massive overlap. It's like a Venn diagram, right? Like, there's always going to be this overlap of, there are games that are just next gen, there are games that are cross gen, there are games that, you know, are, or you've got weird ones like with Horizon Forbidden West, where like it was cross gen, but then the DLC wasn't. So DVDs were never truly next gen until they stopped making VHS. Blu-ray wasn't next gen until they stopped making DVDs. Right, like, I think what you're I don't know, I think you're setting up a weird like line that's almost never going to happen. According to your definition, then we're already here. I think we were already here when the first games dropped. Yeah, I do. Like, what sparked this discussion is, you know, will Light No Fire be the first truly next gen game? I don't think so. We've received games that are next gen. The incessant negativity about video games and being sort of like, this gen's disappointing or the games haven't been that good, I can't connect with that mindset because I don't think it's honest. I think it's willful negativity. I don't think it's accurate. I don't think it assesses the quality and the substance, the size and the scope, the review scores, the accolades, the awards, even player response. I don't think it accurately represents that at all. I think it's a misrepresentation of what we've received. I think it's just forced negativity. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could be critical of, like, I was very critical of Hellblade 2, but I would never say that it wasn't next gen. Yeah, we just really haven't gotten any next gen games. I'd be like, no, it's actually, you know, a next gen game. Now, obviously, the frame rate was frustrating, you know, and not getting 60 FPS. But I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, we just didn't get next gen. I don't feel like that accurately represents. There's this weird trend right now on YouTube in the gaming world, and it's almost like this meta. They make these big, giant, sweeping meta claims about how like everything's bad now. And I don't think it's accurate. I just think like it's a very, very easy way to get people, you know, to only see one side of things, or to, you know, drive those negative clicks. And it's like, I feel like we've gotten an amazing past couple of years of games. You know, you've got games like Baldur's Gate 3 receiving heaps of praise. You got games like Elden Ring and others winning Game of the Year. I feel like we've been receiving, you know, amazing, excellent, high-quality games. And I feel like that's all done a disservice by people that, you know, lack the vision and the creativity to say anything other than, yeah, everything's terrible, and, you know, live service games are ruining the industry. And these same channels, mind you, will then sing the praises of Helldivers 2 when it's doing really well. But I thought live service games were killing the industry. But you see what I'm saying? It's like, I don't think it's an accurate representation of what we've received. Now, you can be dissatisfied. You can be like, I didn't like the games, or I didn't think the games were very good. But to be like, oh yeah, that we've received nothing. We haven't received truly next-gen games. This entire generation's been a disappointment. Sometimes I wonder if a different hobby is in order. It's like, I don't know what you're looking for, but I don't think you're ever going to be happy if the last 4 years of games hasn't been satisfying to you. It's hard to say, because some positions are that when the consoles release, when the first AAA titles built for the console come out, and the first ever release exclusively for the PS5 and the Series X titles. Right, but again, I just think there's so many opinions on gaming these days that are driven by brazen ignorance. That's not informed by reality. That's ignorant. Like, the way that games are made, I've had this discussion with people before. So let's just take Lightnofire as an example, okay? Let's just take this as an example. If when this game comes out, the minimum specs for this game can run on a fairly weak PC, but then alternatively, you could boot this up on a beastly PC and turn up all the lighting, all the textures, you know, all the shading and shadows and everything else, right? No one would say, oh, how disappointing. I can't believe that game isn't next gen, or I can't believe that game is basically old and outdated because they optimized it to run on weaker PCs. Nobody would say that. That would be ludicrous to say. You would look silly. No one looks at a game with performance spectrum on PC and says, well, because they optimized the game to run on weaker PCs, it's not next gen, or it's not a good game, or I'm disappointed. Nobody argues that way. It's only argued that way in the realm of ignorance about consoles and game development. What it turns into is, oh, well, because this game is cross-generationally supported, it's not truly next-gen. Now, when you apply that logic and that reasoning to a game that lands on PC, it looks stupid. The argument looks stupid. Because it is. It's a stupid argument. It doesn't understand game development. It doesn't. You can take a game in the Unreal Engine. Let's just take Unreal 4, because Unreal 5 is having issues. There are plenty of gorgeous Unreal 4 games. You can take a game in Unreal 4 and turn a bunch of amazing features on a next-gen console, turn all those features off on an old-gen console, and you got a great game, and you got next-gen features. You could do the same thing on PC. Yo, a 5-bomb from Alex coming in, taking us to 7 members on the day. Thank you so much, sir. And so the position doesn't make sense. It's like you're only saying this in sort of this vacuum of ignorance where a bunch of people that don't understand game development are going to be like, yeah, man, you preach. We're getting ripped off. We're getting sold a bill of goods. We're not getting next-gen games. And it's like you're only getting you're basically capitalizing on the fact that people don't understand game development. So it's like it's not even a respectable position. There are so many positions now in gaming that I don't even respect them. It's like you're literally forcing a false narrative just so that you can get people angry and then move on to the next and move on to the next and move on to the next. A single gifted from Patrick, taking us to 8. Thank you so much, Patrick. And a $2 super chat tip. Do you think Light No Fire is coming this year? I do. I think Light No Fire is coming this year. I think that potentially they're going to do something inside of No Man's Sky to announce it or to, lead up to it. Helldivers 2 is literally the opposite of overrated. It's a $40 game that has the quality of modern AAA games, amazing player base, active community. It was exceeded expectations. Yeah, I don't think that game was overrated at all. I think it did very well. And I also think that it could have a surging comeback. It certainly has dwindled in its engagement numbers, but that's normal. I think all live service games experience that. It doesn't matter if you're, Diablo or friggin' or if you're Helldivers, you're always going to have those downturns in engagement. It's a mindset. It's called boomer in memes. It's the misguided belief that there was this perfect time that we need to return to. It's a fever dream. Right. I mean, usually people have an era of time in mind that they think is the best. And, they'll say, oh, this is when games were better. This is when music was better, TV, movies, whatever. And I do think that some of this comes from, I think some of this is symptomatic of the time that we live in. Like, there's just an overwhelming abundance of availability of entertainment. So it sort of deadens your ability to be wowed and to be shocked. It would be like going to, when they have those haunted houses at Halloween, it would be like going to 7 of them in one day. At the end of the day, like, you wouldn't really even be scared anymore. You would know what's coming in most of them. You'd be like, okay, we're going to round this corner. Yep, somebody popped out. Yep, this guy's going to chase us with a chainsaw. Okay, yeah, that corpse is going to pop up. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you did 7 haunted houses in a day, by the time you got to the last one, you would be sort of blunted mentally. You'd be numb, and it would be like, it wouldn't barely be scary anymore. And so I feel like we engage with entertainment in video games in such an overabundance. It's like nothing can really wow us anymore. And we posture as if because a game didn't revolutionize its genre, because a game didn't blow you out of your chair, then it failed. Like, you don't judge the game according to its merits. You don't judge the game according to game design and, good storytelling, good voice acting, whatever. It's, well, I didn't walk away feeling a sense of like a high, like this dopamine high of like my mind has been blown. And so we gamers can mark that down as a failure. It's like, well, that game failed. And this is something I've talked about with, I call it the metamorphosis principle, in that a lot of us experienced games in a way that every time you booted up a game, it felt revolutionary. Every time a new system came out, every time a new game came out, they were pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope and pushing the envelope. So some of us went from like Duck Hunt to GoldenEye to Call of Duty and to Gears of War. And like, so what happened is like every time you experienced a new shooter, it was revolutionizing something. It was iterating on something. You were having this experience that you had never had before. It's this undercurrent of expectation that when I play a video game, I need to be absolutely wowed by the evolution or the innovation. And it's like, sometimes you're just going to play another game, and it's just another good game. Sometimes you're just going to play a sequel and like it's just another good video game. It's not going to completely reinvent the fighting game, the racing game, the sports game, the shooter, the open world action adventure, like the RPG. It's not going to do that. Like it's not possible. There are going to be elements that might wow you. I remember the first time I fast traveled in Ghost of Tsushima and they had updated the game and there was no more loading screens. I was like, wow. The first time I used photo mode in Horizon Forbidden West, when I played through Ratchet and Clank, like when I played through these games, I had what felt like those experiences again of like, wow, I've never played a game like this. I've never played a game that looks like this. But I think that it's getting harder and harder to move that needle all the way to 11. I'm wowed by almost every game I play because I remember when we only had 4-hour 2D side-scrollers. I remember when Star Fox SNES was revolutionary. We've advanced so far so far since then, and I notice. Right, that's the interesting thing to me, Eugene. That's the interesting thing to me, is it's like, some of us have been here since the beginning, and we're the worst offenders. Like, there are people that have been playing video games since, Coleco and Atari, and they can be the worst offenders. And it's like, and that's why I can't connect with them. I can't empathize or sympathize with their position, because I'm like, dude, I remember when games, if you played The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, like the way that people were playing Breath of the Wild, you would beat Link to the Past in an afternoon, You would. Now, Ocarina of Time, not so much. That one was a little bit more hefty. But, like, I remember that, that game. And I remember that being something that I did, on a weekend, on a Saturday, if it was my turn. And so the game lasted, and it was enjoyable, and it was this thing that it was this world I got to visit every weekend for, an hour. And now you live in the game, and 6 or 7 hours later, you've barely scratched the surface. And I think sometimes people complain and they're like, well, the game wasn't any good, or I was bored, or whatever the case may be. Now, somebody was asking me in chat, do I think Light No Fire is going to be influenced by No Man's Sky? Very much so. I think you can sense that in the trailer, right? This is exactly the kind of game that I think people are going to potentially ruin for themselves, because they're going to come at it with this expectation of like, oh, this is going to revolutionize open world games. But the truth be told, you will still play this game for 5-10 hours, and then you'll kind of have a reasonable expectation of what's going to happen and what you can go do and see and experience. Now, obviously, there'll be new biomes, new animals, new enemies, new things to go do. But every game lands into a somewhat predictable lane, and I think that that's okay. It's kind of like, if you remember as a kid, when you would first arrive at a summer camp, right? And everything felt enormous. Everything felt huge. It seemed like the ball fields were big, and the cabins were far away, and the woods were almost, eternal, because you hadn't yet broached into, into the woods yet. And I think as the week progressed, typically for me with like a summer camp, everything becomes familiar, everything feels smaller, everything becomes more sort of, it was like, I remember the first time I went into a Best Buy as an employee, it felt enormous. The store felt huge. The stock room was like all the way back in the corner. The break room was all the way up. But then after like a couple of weeks, it's just all very familiar, and it almost makes it feel smaller, right? It makes the location feel smaller because the familiarity creates mental boundaries. And so where the edges of everything is. And before you have those mental boundaries, you're sort of like, well, I don't know how far back the woods go, or I don't know how far back the store goes. I think video games are the same. I think when you first get into a video game, take Elden Ring as an example. When you first get into Elden Ring, it's almost daunting how big it is. It seems like it goes on for forever. But then as you play the game, you develop an understanding of how big Limgrave is, how big, Kylid is. And so you start to feel a little bit more comfortable and a little less like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying. Light No Fire is going to be the exact same way. When you get into Light No Fire, it's going to be like, oh, I cannot believe they did this. No Man's Sky is that way, right? The first time you get into No Man's Sky, you're like, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe I'm taking off from a planet. I can't believe I'm flying around in outer space. But then eventually, you create mental boundaries within the game, and you know just how far things are, just how big things are. Even though you can still go to different, galaxies and planets and stuff, it just becomes more contained. It becomes more approachable. You don't feel this sort of, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to get anything done in this game. It's still daunting. It's still too big. Which game are you referring to? Elden Ring? Elden Ring is good to bring up because now, for a game to truly blow our minds, a game needs to exceed Elden Ring. How hard is that going to be? Well, I mean, I don't know if it needs to exceed Elden Ring, but I think open world games are going to need to consider, are they bringing, at bare minimum, are they bringing exploratory purpose to the table? I don't need every game to be as big as Elden Ring, but I need your open worlds to have purpose. I need there to be that sense of exploration and discovery that I believe Breath of the Wild achieved it, and I believe Elden Ring achieved it. You don't need to be the same size and scope. I think that's the mistake. I think the mistake is everybody's like, oh no, yeah, if you're going to do an open world game, it's got to be huge. It's like, no, but you could definitely create that sense of mystery and discovery. Elden Ring, it's so empty and large just to be large. There's no purpose to its size. That's a debate I don't feel like having because I don't agree. I don't agree with you. I think the density of Elden Ring does serve a purpose. It does. The sense of you can find a cave system or a dungeon that goes down for seemingly forever. I think that doesn't work if the game's not as large as it is. I see your point, you're not wrong, but I just want games to feel less samey, and there's indie games that are doing that. The AAA space seems afraid of that, and I think that needs to change. Well, here's the problem with AAA games, Fallout. The problem is they take too long to make. So it's like an aircraft carrier. They set a trajectory, and turning away from that is going to be slow, and it won't be significant. So if there's a game that's been in development, like take this game as an example. This game has been in development for 5 years. And if they made decisions, 4 years ago to do certain things, that you get into the game and it ends up feeling, as you say, samey, feels like some other game, feels like something you played before. Well, how are they going to take that out? This game has been in development for 5 years. They'd have to completely go back and rewrite in entire elements of the fabric of the game and its DNA and its identity. Therapy quantified with 4 months of memberships, dude. Welcome back. All member pluses and aboves. All member pluses and above. When you guys renew, you get to add to the goal. Thank you so much. And that cave is just like the 4 other caves you already explored, and it took a 4-minute goat ride for nothing to get there. Yeah, but see, here's where I don't agree with number one, I don't agree with your summary. I don't think it's I don't think it's fair to the caves and the dungeons. However, I will admit they're similar, but I won't admit or concede that that's a problem. That's a matter of perspective. Because to me, if you're going to play a game of that size and that scope that gives you that amount of exploration and that amount of freedom, I expect there to be elements that are repeated or similar. Like, I don't expect every cave system, I don't expect every dungeon in that game I don't expect it to be completely different every single time. I really, really don't. I think that the problem is that we have this idea that an open world game like that, in order to justify its size and scope, you would have to, you know, in order to justify its scope, you'd have to have every single cave, every single new area be completely new and be completely fresh. And I don't agree with that. I would much rather a game reuse some of its assets and things, and give me something that feels like quality. Like, if the quality is there, then I'm excited. I'm not going to get angry that a cave feels familiar or a dungeon feels familiar. The world's way too large. The best parts are way too disconnected. There's almost no continuity between them. Well, I mean, bring it back to this game then, Eugene. Do you look at Lightnofire and get a similar sense of, well, I wouldn't want to play that game? That was what made Oblivion and Skyrim far less interesting to me compared to Morrowind. What exactly, Johnny Dingo? Are you saying that too much was repeated? Oops. Therapy Quantified doesn't just renew his membership. He gives some membership and takes us to 10 on the day. Thank you so much for doing that. Appreciate you guys. Like, if you look at Lightnofire, Eugene, do you get a sense of like, well, I don't want to play that game because it's going to have, you know, a lot of large empty areas or repeated things? Oh, you get a similar sense from Lightnofire. Well, I mean, knowing your preferences and knowing what you may like and dislike, I think is that's half the battle, right? I think that's half the battle. So this sounds like a game that you would avoid. You know, Morrowind had interesting and unique loot in dungeons and caves versus the others. Oh, I get what you're saying. No Man's Sky was a blast, but the inventory management was a nightmare. You hope they fix that in Lightnofire. I want to play, but I know it's going to be a bunch of empty. I just wonder if that's even avoidable. Right? How do you make a big open world game without doing that? I don't know if that's possible. I don't know if you can make a completely handcrafted open world game where like every area is going to feel unique. I mean, if you did that, you would likely have to really, really trim down the scope of the game. You wouldn't be able you wouldn't be able to make an open world game without doing that. It'll be great for about 50 hours and I'll get tired of the traversal. I mean, maybe they give you the ability to fast travel or whatever to mitigate some of that, you know. I mean, I think that's always going to be a challenge with an open world game. There's two significant challenges that we're touching on for open world games. Number one is you have to have empty spaces. You're going to have fields and mountain ranges that are just sort of there as a part of the fabric of the world. They serve a purpose, but they don't serve a direct and tangible purpose. It's not like, well, I'm going to go to that mountain range and I'm going to find a cave system and there's going to be a troll and his name's Dave and I'm going to kill him and I'm going to get a sword. Like, I mean, maybe they're able to do that. But in general, I think when you build a game like this and games of this size, you're just going to have big open empty areas. I think that that's okay. But then that's connected to the other challenge for games like this. Getting around and navigating the world, if it becomes cumbersome, boring, or uneventful, then your open world shrinks. It just immediately shrinks. It's like, well, all I want to do is fast travel. There's no reason for me to fly from point A to point B. There's no reason for me to walk around. There's no reason for me to do any of that. So your big giant open world shrinks, and now you're looking for you're looking for, bonfires to fast travel or waypoints to fast travel. Just travel the earth. There's plenty of empty open areas. Right, but here's the thing, Buffalo Wing Dave. Here's the thing, Dave. Does that make for a compelling game? Does anybody want to do that? Do you want to do that for long periods of time? You have. This is the challenge of an open world game. You have to make exploration exciting and rewarding, but you also have to have this sense of, there's this sense of grandeur and size of like, wow, this place is enormous. You can't really create that sense of size and scope without just creating a giant mountain or valley or whatever. If you do that, that conveys the size and scope to the player. But then you're going to get into what I talked about, how your first time at the place of business that you're going to be working at, the factory or the summer camp, everything seems enormous. And then those mental boundaries come up and you understand, okay, this game, this world, this place is actually not that big because I can get from point A to point B by fast traveling. So you shrink the game about as quickly as you can. So the size and the scope is great in those early moments, and then it quickly shrinks down. It's like the first time you crest that hill or fly over that mountain or fly over that valley, your breath's sort of like, oh my gosh, this is so big. But then after a couple of hours, efficiency markers are going to kick in your brain, and you're going to say, well, I'm trying to get this done. I want to get to the next thing. I want to go to the next area. Well, I need to go back to the previous area. Are you going to do that manually, or are you going to fast travel? You see, like, I feel like our brain is constantly competing for hierarchy of decision making. Do you want to experience this massive, awesome open world game, or do you want to just get the thing done that you're working on? Which do you want to do? And I think eventually the one side wins handedly. Oh, I just want to get the thing done. I just want to get the mission done. I just want to get the quest done. I don't think we'd be having this conversation if every other game coming out wasn't a massive open world. I think they're just burnt out. I think people are definitely burned out on open world games. They are. Similarly to my commentary on Concord, that I think people are burned out on shooters, hero shooters, arena shooters in general. I think live service in and of itself has done that to people. But I also think open world games have done that as well. It's like, people just are sick of them. People were upset that like Final Fantasy 16 wasn't open world, but then they played it and they were like, I remember I was kind of upset. And then I played it and I was like, no, I'm actually kind of glad. That was really enjoyable. Stellar Blade is another example of a game where I was like glad for the linear design. It just felt good to go from here to here to here to here to here. Like, it feels like I feel like I can put in a play session in a game like that and not feel like, well, I didn't achieve anything. There were times I played Breath of the Wild and I was like, I don't know if I achieved anything. I wandered all the way over to this area. It took me 45 minutes to kind of get where I thought I was going, and then I went a different way and I died a couple times and I don't know what I did. It just has that aimless feel. Now, sometimes that feels great. Sometimes that's enjoyable because you feel like you are genuinely exploring a world. Other times, again, that efficiency side of your brain's going to be frustrated and say, well, you didn't accomplish anything. When I play something open world, I have to almost force myself to remember to go back into exploration mode after the first few hours. You'll miss stuff because you can fast travel. Right, that's exactly what happens. It's like you almost shift gears. You go from standing on top of a cliffside or walking into a vista or a new biome and being like, oh, this is so pretty, and you're spinning the camera and you're taking pictures. You go from that to, all right, buddy, just give me the quest. And then you fast travel, you do the quest, and you come back and you're like, here, I did your thing. I don't know how to prevent that side from winning, except for you have to play games that are more curated and more handcrafted, that you can do that to a certain degree, but you kind of can't. It almost forces you to sit in and marinate in the story or the world or the character development. Fast travel, drop in multiplayer ruins No Man's Sky. You feel like it ruins No Man's Sky? Lido left a comment here on the Light No Fire video. Sean needs to put this game on early access to min-max success, in my opinion. I actually don't think that's a bad idea. I think early access for Light No Fire is actually a really good idea because of the size and scope of the game. They could really iron out a lot of the issues and a lot of the problems that I'm sure a game of this size is going to have. Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom are perfect examples of doing it right. Just enough random encounters and cool environments. Yeah, it's almost like you need to space things out just enough so the player can feel a sense of, oh, I was exploring and I discovered this, but you also have to have the game feel as if you have to have the game world feel like, oh, there wasn't anything over there, or there isn't anything in this current area right now. Because if you don't have that, I think you're just going to make people feel like, you know, the game is flat and boring. There has to be a sense of... This is kind of like what we had this discussion the other day, and I rejected this about how it was used at the time. But I've used this argument with loot-based games. You have to have bad loot to make the good loot meaningful. Like, if all loot that drops is good, then you're not really celebrating anything happening. You're just like, oh, this is a horse of a different color. This gun is just as strong as this gun. It's just an auto rifle instead of a hand cannon, right? So, in similar fashion, I think I think that you have to have emptiness in an open world game for the handcrafted, for the hidden, for that discovery moment to have punch and to feel impactful. It's like you have to have both. You do. You have to have both. You can't just be like, oh no, there's something significant like every 20 feet. No, it has to be like, well, there was something significant, and then I explored for a while, couldn't find anything, found a couple barren areas, and then, ooh, I found this outpost, or oh, I found this really, really elaborate cave system, or a river, or whatever, and, you know, maybe the river has treasure in it, or a waterfall or something. So, yeah, I don't think you can create... I don't know why YouTube's doing that, guys. That did the same thing yesterday, but it was later in the day. It takes forever to switch NGES servers now. It usually was really, really fast, and now it's like a frickin' lifetime. I'm on the primary YouTube NGES server too. I don't know what they're doing. "30-year-old me would get lost in No Man's Sky for forever. Today, not a chance. 42 and a house to run." Oh, I've been saying that lately. There are so many games I wish I had time for. There are so many games I wish I had time for. Gears of War E-Day job listing points to a PlayStation 5 release. Experience with Xbox Live, PSN, Steam, and other online gaming platforms. I don't know. Does that hint at a PlayStation release? Does it? I mean, it probably does. I mean, why would a Gears of War game developer need to be familiar with PSN? You know, Xbox Live and Steam, sure, but PSN, I don't know. I can't do games like Destiny 2 anymore. I need games I can pause if I need to, and games that don't have FOMO. Yeah, I mean, I'm on a bit of a kick right now. I can't get to the 20th wave in Brotato. I've gotten to 19. I've gotten to 18. I've gotten to 17, then 18, 17, 18, then 19. I just get surrounded, and I can't shoot anything. Nothing's dying fast enough. I'm stuck. But I'm loving it. It's just fun. It's just mindless. I can just kind of put that on, pause it if I need to. You know, I can listen to a podcast while I'm playing, you know. I wonder about what player spawns would be like. Does everyone spawn in a beginner city or just randomly explore from there? Right. I mean, the Steam product page says that it's a procedural Earth, and you know, I'm assuming that means they're going to use procedural generation. But does that mean, like, when he walks into that one area, it looks like there are handcrafted areas, because he goes into that one area and there are, like, you know, rabbits kneeling, and there's like some kind of a king or leader or something, right? And then when they come out of the water here, there are clearly areas that are designed for you to be like almost like building a settlement, because when they come up out and they start walking around, it's not this location in particular, it's right over here. You're seeing somebody build, you know, like that's like a fireplace chimney, or that's just a wall, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, those are just walls. You know, so there's just open areas for crafting and for making your own, you know, settlements and building. But then there also seems to be, you know, handcrafted environments, places that you can go. And I'm assuming have some type of a story. I'm assuming have some type of a crafted experience. You know? There'll be non-procedural quest lines. Right, like something, if it's an RPG, there's got to be, I would assume, it's not just a sandbox. It's, you know, there's purpose, there's things for you to do, NPCs to interact with. Looks like procedural gameplay. Yeah, there are areas that definitely have that procedural feel, but then there are areas like this. This is a handcrafted area, in my personal opinion. You're going to come in and talk to this guy, and I'm assuming have some type of a quest. You know? For me, the moment-to-moment gameplay loop in No Man's Sky isn't rewarding enough to keep me playing, and the planets aren't interesting and varied enough to keep me wanting to explore. Did you try an expedition character? An expedition save, really speeds a lot of that stuff up. It does. So, guys, we're about an hour into the stream. We had a major blip, and that can really, really hurt us, because we'll lose people. Do me a quick favor and smash that like button. Get us to 200 likes. If you renew your membership or gift a membership now, it counts towards the total. So we appreciate you guys so much supporting the channel, supporting the videos that we do. The daily live shows and the uploads are continuing now that I'm back in town. And gaming news cycle's a little slow, so we thought, I like Lightnofire, I'm looking forward to it, and Sean Murray's tweeting, so we threw down kind of a prediction that we feel like we're going to be getting news about it soon. And that is what we're discussing today. We're kind of discussing open world games, though, and exploratory purpose, and a sense of, you know, either futility in a game being too big, too open, and too empty, or a game feeling like you shrink it down because you just fast travel everywhere. And a 5-bomb from Siege Master. Thank you guys so much. Taking us, that's setting up a 10-bomb dunker. We'll see if anybody takes the bait, Siege Master. You guys, the goal this week is 500 members. Friday night, we'll continue with me playing a scary game. If you guys can hit 500 members, you're already well on your way. You got 158 yesterday. You guys are crushing it. And again, if you're on a member plus or VIP, you can renew. You can hit that $sign and celebrate, and that counts. My big question is, will this game be finished? I'm a bit tired of major performance issues, games not launching with things like New Game Plus and shader issues. I don't necessarily want to say that if a game launches without New Game Plus, it's not complete. I don't necessarily think I agree with that. Like, yeah, that game launched without New Game Plus, so wasn't ready, was bad. Like, okay, they can add that later. I'm okay with that. And a 10-bomb from Alex, and he takes us to the first 25 of the day. And now I owe you guys 5 members. Thank you so much, Alex. Slamming it home. You're the best. And here comes the 5 that I owe you guys. Has Shadow of the Erd Tree going for you? I beat Mesmer, and then I went on vacation, so I wasn't able to play while I was gone. I was busy playing games with my kiddos or playing games with my nephews. So Erdtree is on hiatus right now. I don't have this strong desire to go back. I'm just like, oh, I had fun. I really liked beating Mesmer, but right now I have like an hour or two a night maybe that I can play a game, and I want it to be something more. And a 10 bomb from Cat takes us to 35, leaps us past. That's a big Agent of Chaos. Thank you so much, Cat, and puts us at 35 out of 50, rolling us up. Nova Hands renews 32 months. I strongly prefer curated open world experiences over procedurally generated ones. The places I've gone in Skyrim and Elden Ring are memorable. And that's a Member Plus renewal, so that adds to the count. Thank you so much, Nova Hands, getting us a little bit closer to the next milestone. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you. I remember locations in Elden Ring. I remember locations in Skyrim. I remember my first dragon kill in Skyrim. I remember the first time I saw what they... Essentially, it's like the Northern Lights in that game. I remember the first time I saw that. I'd never played a game like that before in my life. And I was like, this is unbelievable. You know? So, I don't disagree with you. I think procedural generation has its place, though. I think it works well in No Man's Sky because No Man's Sky set out to do something that wouldn't work without procedural generation. But in an open world game where it's just a world, whether it's like Assassin's Creed or, Horizon Forbidden West, Ghost of Tsushima, or Light No Fire, I definitely agree that I would rather it be more handcrafted than procedural, because it makes it more memorable. Like him going into that little rabbit kingdom and talking to that guy, or getting ready to talk to that guy, that's a memorable moment in the Light No Fire trailer. It seems like, oh, that's the guy I'm going to go get to talk to. Therapy Quantified gifts a member and bumps the line to 37. Thank you so much. You guys only need about 100 a day, and you crushed it yesterday, and you're crushing it again today. Thank you so much, Therapy Quantified. Storyline won't be something like Skyrim. It'll be more basic. Yeah, I would say it's probably going to be more along the lines of go do the thing and get stronger. We need you to go do this thing. We need you to go talk to these people. Like, I don't know if the RPG elements of Light No Fire are going to be this insane, robust, elaborate storyline. It's probably okay if it's pretty straightforward and basic. I think the value offer of Light No Fire is the size and the scope. It's the true open world that they're promising, that you can go anywhere and no boundaries, nothing getting in your way. Seems like it'll be more like Valheim, but with HG proc gen of No Man's Sky. Yeah, possibly. It's going to be like FF7 Rebirth. In what way? Greybush Gaming with 12 months and a member plus 12 months this month. Yay. I remember in Red Dead Redemption 2 watching a thunderstorm sweep across the plain from the mountains. It was breathtaking. Dude, a whole year and a member plus. Member plus renewals and VIP renewals, man, they count in the total. That takes us to 38. Thank you so much. I keep bumping. I'm not used to the coffee being over here. Oh, I should check my email. We do. Somebody ordered some coffee. Thank you so much. Mile High ordered a triple threat. Thank you so much for doing that. If you guys haven't checked that out yet, Reforge Roast is back up and running. ReforgeRoast.com. You can go there, and we are doing Frickmas in July. Frickmas in July. Right here, you can see it. And if you've not tried out the Frickmas blend, it is great. And the triple threat's the lowest it's ever been. You can try all three flavors of coffee. Nice, big, well-printed, sharp-looking bags there. And they are tear and reseal. Smiley with 30 months and a VIP bumps the line to 39. Thank you so much, Smiley, for jumping back in. Open sandbox games are fun, but they have limited retention for me. I want to check it out, but I know they will need a lot more before I get excited for it. Yeah, I mean, I think the prospect of the game and the identity and the art style, that's what makes me say, oh, I want to play Lightnofire. You know what else makes me want to play it? hellogames and Sean Murray make me want to play it. I trust in their ability to make a cool game. I do. No Man's Sky is literally a game that I wish I had time for. I would be in that game in VR every night. If I was a bachelor, I'm telling you, that game would have a regular presence in my gaming habits. It just would. I'd be strapping on that. I'd have a section of my house dedicated to VR. And dude, I'm not kidding you. I would be doing that. That call out marinated for a while. Sorry, I had my phone. I didn't have my email pulled up, so I didn't see that it came through. Sorry about that, Mile High. Thank you, though. Thank you for the order. If you guys haven't checked it out, here, let me just show it to you. We have rehoused Reforge Roast. Wait, hang on. That's the wrong address. ReforgeRoast.com has been rehoused. It's now ours. It's back under our control. We were using Shopify. Did not like what we got with them. And you can try all of our coffee right now. But we are doing Frickmas in July. And to celebrate Frickmas in July, we have the triple threat at its lowest it's ever been. $48. All 3 bags of 12 ounce there. You can try out the coffee. They also have all the flavor profiles here. If you want to see, what exactly goes into each one, they have them here. And they are all low acidic coffees. That's why people like the coffee so much, because it is, I've had multiple people tell me hey, I can't drink coffee. It hurts my stomach. And they're like, but I can drink yours. So we appreciate everybody who has supported that. And also, if you've left comments on the Light No Fire thing, this guy says, talk to us won't happen. He was the most honest dev I ever followed and was branded a liar. No man's lie. No major channel or gaming news outlets took the time to verify he never lied. I don't blame him. I have defended him for years, but I think you are right. I think you're right. I do. I've always defended Sean Murray, and I've always said that I didn't feel like he lied. I feel like a lot of the things he promised got lost when they had the flood. I feel like a lot of the things he promised got added within, 6 to 12 months of the game releasing, and they've gone far beyond, what he promised. And so, do you guys have a dark roast? Yes, we do. We do. You prefer it to be dark and robust? Yes. Our dark roast is very full. It's very full-bodied, but it's not going to have that acidic bite of a dark roast. It's not going to like a lot of people that don't like dark roast have actually enjoyed our coffee. So if you like it to be robust and bold, I think ours is very full-bodied and very good, but it's not going to be quite giving you the tongue lashing that some dark roasts will. Certainly, you could just chip away at it a few nights a week. You'll make progress over time. I just don't like playing games like that. If I can't sort of go through the game regularly and rhythmically, playing No Man's Sky for 30 minutes, I just don't see the point, I don't see the point. It's I would want to be able to put in fairly long play sessions. To really get immersed in that game, I think you need to at least be able to slap the headphones, slap the VR visor on, and slap the VR visor on and play for a couple hours. That's what I would want to do. Did you ever try the Last Campfire? I know this game. I remember seeing this game. I feel like it was on my wish list at one point. From Embers. I feel like I played this. Yeah, I played this. I don't know if I ever beat it, though. Let me check my Steam. You felt that way with Destiny? If it's a short session, why bother? Yeah. Now, some games I can play in short sessions. You know, a Brotato or Final Fantasy 16, I felt like I could play in short spurts. I felt like I could play in short spurts in The Last of Us, because it was just like I was just able to kind of work my way through the campaign and the story, and it was almost like episodic, you know? It was like, that's how I felt like with like Final Fantasy 16. It was like I was almost playing it episodically, like a TV show. I played The Last Campfire for 18 minutes. Oh, I remember why we did that. That was for the First Look channel. That was for the First Look channel. I would play a game for 15 minutes and just record that first 15 minutes and then upload it to our First Look channel. And I remember playing The Last Campfire, the first 15. Cough, Armored Core. Yeah. Yeah, I know. You think that's like perfect for how I play right now. Sure. You've been doing that with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Gongaga and Cosmo Canyon were miserable to traverse. Promise broken, like raising sub prices after you said you wouldn't. Can't play No Man's Sky after a long day at work and dinner. I could totally get immersed and relax and just play, but it's just like I would need a decent chunk of time, you know, in order to do it. And I sadly right now I'm not in that position. I've got to be able to play something that I can literally just play for about an hour and just put down, maybe 2. This week in particular, I'm gonna have larger chunks of time. Because my wife and the kiddos have like a commitment every night, and they're going to be getting home, you know, kind of late. So I'm going to be trying to, you know, get out of here and get out of writer's room a little bit faster, just so I can get my videos made and, you know, maybe get some game time in. Speculating tinfoil, but I believe Waking Titan was a clue or 2, even though Sean said Waking Titan concluded. I think his clues are pointing to Light No Fire. I think they are going to do something in No Man's Sky. I think there'll be some type of a No Man's Sky update, and it'll have something to do with Light No Fire. I don't think they're gonna put Light No Fire inside of No Man's Sky, but I could see them doing some kind of an event inside the game that points to it, or that announces it or something. A live in-game event. Something like that. Like they could do maybe an expedition where as everybody's doing something, it slowly is unlocking a glyph or a portal. So it's like a community effort thing. He could drop hints and clues and you got to go, figure it out, and it'll be like a clue or whatever. Oh, they're updating Ghost of Tsushima. Soon after release, matchmaking between PC and consoles will be enabled. I was really hoping they were going to do a free update to Tsushima and add transmog. Every time I play that game, just for the fun of clearing more parts of Icky Island, I'm always like, dude, I really, really wish there was transmog in this game. Splitgate 2, I'm not sure what they're announcing. I'm really not. I'll be honest with you. These really creative developers, I wish they would just start making PvE games, That's what I've been hoping for. Like Deep Rock Galactic or Helldivers or Ubisoft apparently is it Ubisoft? Somebody's working on a game where you're fighting together PvE to the center of some place. Splitgate felt so good. The shooting felt good. The movement felt good. Same with Concord. And I'm like, dude, if you guys would just make a fun PvE game, I would be so happy. I'm just being dead honest with you. I just feel like PvP has just, to me, it's had its time. You know, there's plenty of games that offer PvP. We don't need any more. I know that people will not agree with me on that, and that's fine. But I'm like, there's enough of these games. Do something else. You know, there's enough games where I can run around a map and shoot somebody. You know, oh, but this game has portals. Yeah, I know, and it's super creative. But I still think that it's time to just, you know, can we... I hope Helldivers 2 has an impact on the market. I do. I hope more and more companies say, hey, it's just as viable to give people a game they can play with their buddies and have fun instead of constantly running around and shooting each other. Because I genuinely feel like, and this is one of the reasons why Light No Fire is like one of my more anticipated games, because I feel like I could get lost in the game. I feel like I could play with my wife. You know, I feel like I could play with you guys. To me, though, I feel like we've played this before. Like, every time I see a PvP game like that, I'm like, we played that game before. We've run around, and we've shot each other, and then we've died, and then we've respawned, and we've run around, and we've shot each other over and over and over and over again. Like part of this is I'm jaded. I'll admit my bias. I'm jaded. I've been playing PvP games since they were invented. I've been playing PvP shooters since they were literally invented. With Doom and Quake 2 and Quake 3 and Call of Duty and Unreal Tournament. I've been running around arenas and shooting other players for, I don't even know, for over 20 years. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't really want to do that anymore. You know, been there, done that. I want a co-op shooter. I want to run around with the boys and laugh and blow stuff up and shoot stuff and get loot and feel a sense of progress. Not this freaking treadmill of futility of shoot, die, shoot, die, shoot, die, shoot. Did somebody win? I won. Shoot, die, shoot, die. Did somebody win? They won. It's like it all feels the same. A win and a loss don't feel that different. And again, I'll admit my bias. So much of that just comes from just being jaded and playing them so much. But it's like, I also think Helldivers shows that you don't need to do PvP. You can have a lot of success, a lot of engagement, make a lot of money, and it doesn't need to be a PvP game. You know? That was my point about COD and its players months ago. It's so repetitive. You do the same thing over and over every day. That's why when the Black Ops 6 trailer dropped, I got excited for the campaign. I was like, that actually looks really cool. Concord gameplay is something unique. I was waiting for an accessible FPS with variety of gameplay, and this is for me. Hey man, more power to you. I hope you have a ball. I didn't think there was anything unique about it at all. You know, I just didn't. I felt like, yep, I've played this game before. I've team shot through doors and lanes and dodged out of damage before. You know, well, because you played Destiny. I did that in Unreal Tournament. I did that in Call of Duty 2 on modded CTF servers. I did that in Quake 3 Rocket Arena. You know, I've been there before. You know, it's just one of those things where I think there's more room for innovation and creativity in PvE environments. I do. I think there's more room for innovation in PvE environments because you can create unique challenges, damage thresholds, abilities, weapons, right? Like, think about what you do in Helldivers. You can literally rain hell from the sky. It's hard to do that in a PvP environment because your players will feel like, oh, that's overpowered. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, that's broken. Oh, that's whatever word you want to use. I think there's far more room for innovation in PvE. Because you can create higher power thresholds, more complex challenges, and then equip the player to overcome those challenges. PvP, it's like you gotta hand everybody the same tools. And those tools have to be reasonable. You can't like hand somebody a nuke button, unless obviously they earn it in Call of Duty. You know, everybody on the other team is dead. You don't have to worry about the game feeling fair for the enemies getting shot when it's PvE. That's exactly right. Concord's the 8th most pre-ordered game on the UK PS5 charts. Okay. I don't know if it's competing with much right now, but I hope that means they get a good player base, because I'm not going to be playing it for very long. You know? My first experience in PvP was Total Annihilation 2 on PC back in the day, then Age of Empires 2, then Quake. Quake 3. That was back when PvP was born, baby. And it's just like, again, I admit my bias. I've probably played too much. Maybe within No Man's Sky Expeditions, Atlas could temporarily teleport players onto an actual planet of light, no fire somehow. Leads to a trailer. Right. I think that would be really cool. Or like, you can't stay there. Maybe you go there, or maybe you look at it through like a portal and you can't go there. You know. I think that would be really, really cool if the discovery of Light No Fire was contained, you know, inside of No Man's Sky. I think that'd be pretty cool. Why does it keep doing this? They want me to push on the notification that badly? If you're completely burnt out on PvP shooters, do you think that maybe compromises your ability to evaluate them fairly? Just wondering. That wouldn't be a slight. I don't think it compromises my ability to evaluate them fairly. I think it makes me more objective, because I can look at the pieces and the parts and not get lulled into like a honeymoon phase. Like, oh, this is so fun. Like, I can acknowledge and say it's fun, it's crisp, it feels good, the guns shoot well, right? The characters look cool. I was able to point out all the positives, but I was also able to be like, this is just derivative, unoriginal, you know, not great, you know? I watched SkillUp's review and I didn't feel like I was out of step at all. That, like, I don't know if he's burned out on PvP shooters, but he said so much, and he said it better than I was. He said so much of what I was saying. It was just like, there's nothing original here. This doesn't feel like a new concept or a new idea. You know? Like, I feel like whenever I play a game, like whenever I played DMZ in Call of Duty, whenever I played Fortnite when it first came out, whenever I played Splitgate, I feel like I'm able to see the pros and the cons fairly well. It's like, yeah, there's good and bad here. Ultimately, I think an area that I'm quite good at is measuring the longevity of something. Take Helldivers, for instance. All of the main things that I said would be problematic ended up being problematic, and they ended up walking back certain things. Remember when I said they wouldn't be able to do a war bond every month? It would be too much. That cadence would overwhelm the player, and it would be too much, and it wouldn't end up working long term. How long did it take for them to admit that? Like, I you know, playing Destiny, playing Anthem, playing The Division, playing Borderlands, you know, playing and analyzing live service games and ongoing games, you know, for the better part of a decade now, I feel like I can look at a game and assess its parts very quickly and say whether or not it has longevity. As great as Helldivers 2 was doing, I was still able, as much fun as I was having with Helldivers 2, I was still able to assess its parts and say, yeah, I don't think this is going to work with the way they built it. They're going to drive people away. Now, the PSN requirement thing didn't help, but again, they 100% started driving people away. I think that they were pushing the cadence of war bonds to the point that they became futile. They folded back on it. It folded back on itself. So, and if I end up being wrong about Concord, then great. I'll celebrate being wrong about that. But I'm like, I don't think it has legs. Like, a good example would be Kill the Justice League. I was like, I think this game could be good. I think this game is fun. I think the critics were too harsh. And then what happened? I got to the end game and I said, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. I was like, this game does not have legs. No one's going to play this long term. Not at all. As soon as I got a glimpse at the end game, I wrote the whole game off. I was like, nope. I was like, your content loop's fun. I felt like your story was pretty good. I felt like the voice acting and the writing was decent. And I felt like people were a little too harsh. But then I got to the end game and I was like, judging it as a live service game, I was like, this has got nothing. This will go nowhere. And it's like, once I get my hands on a game like that and I can think through all the different systems and all the different patterns and player incentivizations and gameplay loops and, you know, micro grinds tied to macro grinds, and I can break all that down, I very quickly can be like, yeah, this isn't going to make it. You know, my defense of Kill the Justice League was always that I felt like the content loop and the story and the voice acting were not this terrible failing grade that everybody was giving it. I was like, this game's an easy solid 7 or 8. My score dropped because I thought the end game was terribly designed and I thought the final 15% of the game was awful. They did a terrible job. It was like opener was good, mid was decent, ending was terrible, and it was like this thing just fell apart right in front of me. And when I played Concord, it was like, this is fun. Guns feel good, movement feels good, map design's not bad, but, you know, like Skill Up said, these are game modes we've played before, with guns that feel familiar, on maps that feel familiar, so... You don't want to play as Mrs. Freeze? They're really not helping their case, that's for sure. That's for sure. All the hate, you know, that was thrown that game's way, they're not helping themselves with Mrs. Freeze. I mean, they're basically just asking for it, you know. Just make fun of us. Beginning good, middle meh, ending bad, went the Game of Thrones route. I mean, a lot of things probably go that way. It's difficult. You know, it's difficult to land the plane. I just don't think Concord is any less quality than the first Descendant. It simply comes down to game genre. If you don't care to play Overwatch or Halo, you won't like Concord. I actually don't think Overwatch fans are going to like it all that much. The abilities aren't impactful enough, and there's no ultimates. Yeah, I actually don't think it's going to win over... I don't think it's going to get the Overwatch crowd. It's landing in this weird valley. It's landing in a weird valley where I think Overwatch fans are going to shrug at it. I think fans of, you know, Destiny and shooters are going to kind of be like, yeah, I've kind of played this game before. Yeah. You need to try and learn all the characters to understand the potential. No, I don't agree that a video game is like a research project, and if I don't put, you know, X number of hours in, I cannot assess the game's quality. I think you can play a game for a couple of hours and you can be like, yeah, this is good, this is bad, this is a compelling offer. You know, I played for a couple hours. I watched my nephews and son play for a couple of hours. I watched a bunch of B-roll. It's like, I don't agree. I don't think you have to like figure out all of the characters and all the nuances of each character's ability to decide whether or not the game is good. Liked and commented on the upload. Yo, thank you, Brett Williams. I appreciate that. Guys, if you want to push that to 50, you don't need to gift members anymore to move this goal. You can just re-up your current membership. If you are on a Member Plus or a VIP, those count. So you could upgrade or just hit the $sign. You might have a renewal celebration. You can help us hit the goal. I end up paying it forward every 25, and we're going for a goal of 500 this week. Resident Evil 7 bombs on iOS with just 2,000 sales. Yeah, I think a lot of games are going to see that there's no reason to take your games to mobile if they're like that. It just isn't going to, you're not going to click with that crowd. Brett Williams commented on the Light No Fire video. How much fun would it be if something like the first 1,000 people to find the planet in No Man's Sky get Light No Fire for free? I mean, that would be dope. That would be dope. If they did something like that inside of No Man's Sky, that'd be pretty cool. I honestly think Concord's really fun, but you do agree it could be getting. I could see it getting old. I'm gonna get crap for this, but maybe the fun gameplay can work well with a good BR mode. Maybe in unique 5-man teams. Yeah, I don't know. Scotty B, there it is with 26 months. He sets it up for a 10-bomb dunker, 40 out of 50. Thank you so much for sticking with me for 26 months, Scotty B. Working alert. Does anyone think the younger generation will think games like Concord's good because they probably haven't played as much as us? I mean, I don't know. I mean, they might not have the PvP fatigue that I have. You know, but I mean, my nephews have played a lot of Fortnite and a lot of Apex. I don't know. Thoughts on the Kunitsu Gamma from Capcom? No one's mentioned it. Didn't it get really good scores? Didn't it just recently get its Metacritic and all that hit? Kunitsu. Isn't that the one with the really cool art style, or am I thinking of a different? I might be thinking of a different game. Kunitsu Gami Path of the Goddess. PC Gamer 4.5 stars. Here, let's I thought I saw a tweet. Got a 79 on Metacritic for PS5, 83 for Xbox, 82 for PC, but both PC and Xbox don't have as many reviews. They have 13 and 14. PS5 has 26. Yeah. This is the game with... I thought the art style for this was really, really cool. Like their use of color and stuff. Level design and the engagements look a little interesting, like almost kind of constrained, you know? But the color and the combat looks like it could be fun. Yo, Donnie with 13 months. Can't believe I've stuck with this pony for so long. Welcome back, Donnie. Appreciate you, dude. Oh, it's a tower defense? The game that we just watched is a tower defense game? Therapy quantified, gifts a member, bumps the line. He's like, come on, boys. We're this close to 50. Let's get it. Thank you so much, Therapy. Oh, you can play. It has a demo. You can play the demo. No thanks for free to play with crappy microtransactions and loot boxes everywhere on every page. People need to understand the benefit of paying for the game once. I don't think you're wrong that there are benefits. There are benefits to paying for a PvP game for sure. Oh, it's a tower defense like. It's been confirmed that Axis Studios Animation and a Visual Effects Studio is shutting down. 162 of their 166 employees lost their jobs. The 4 other employees have been kept on to assist winding down Axis. They created the cinematics for Halo 5 and Halo Infinite. Were they owned by Xbox or were they just contracted to work on stuff? I can't seem to get it doesn't seem to say. You have to defend Ariel under the sea. Oh, stop. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're a Microsoft or Xbox owned studio. It looks like maybe they were contracted to work on Halo 5 and what is it? Axis Studios. Yeah, founded in the UK. Parent company. Yeah, they're not underneath Xbox. they're their own studio. So, you know, there could be any number of reasons why they shut down. Lack of projects, you know. I don't think that you could say they overhired. I mean, unless that 166 employee number is them, did they mushroom up or something? Used to buy Mortal Kombat and unlock the characters. Now you have to pay for the extra characters. Yeah, I mean, I think in general, games like that, they face a challenge. Like, how do you monetize? You know? The initiative should make the next Halo after Perfect Dark. Maybe. I've continued to say I want id Software to help. I think id Software needs to have a hand on the next Halo. Sorry guys to go off topic. Are we going to get a review roundup for Flintlock? Need a new game to enjoy. I've not made a decision on Flintlock. We could maybe just do our own gameplay. Do we know when the embargo lifts? Yeah, I mean, there's videos right now and previews and just people saying like, hey, don't sleep on this game. You know, this game could be good or whatever. But John's tweeting again. Did he tweet? He tweeted a cowboy made of earths. The frick are you doing, Sean? This is what he tweeted. He's like, what the frick is that, dude? Like, oh, I better be careful scrolling because Twitter's overwhelmed with bots. Earthman, come on, this is evil. Somebody said just annoying now. Everybody commenting is just yelling at him. People are like, come on, man. He's such a troll. I think he enjoys it. I think he's gotten to the point where he enjoys it. He thinks it's funny, you know? How'd you get banned on YouTube? Oh, yeah, I opened up Twitter. I mean, that's exactly how it's going to happen. There's going to be people getting banned for that. They're like, oh, yeah, let's look at this tweet. Let's see what everybody's saying in response. It's just going to be people showing off their hoo-has, and you're going to be like, ah, frick, you know? It's like, check out my spicy page, you know? I think I want to start an OnlyFans, and it's just me trying to eat spicy food, and every time I take one bite, I'm like, it's too spicy. And like, that's my spicy page. A $5 super chat tip from Rich Rod says, tinfoil hat. PlayStation Home returns, but it's staging area to play all the PlayStation Live Service games. So chill with strangers. Hey, let's play Helldivers 2. I don't think so. I don't think so. No. No Cowboy Sky. Yeah, dude, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what he's doing. trailer possibility with some clues to the beginning of like an ARG? Yeah, maybe. What tier membership do I need to buy to make sure your spicy page never happens? Black Ops 6's Omni movement mechanics can't be switched off. Why would you want to? I feel like the Omni movement is going to shine the most on mouse and keyboard. The ability to have that level of directional control when you're prone, and the way you're going to be able to, like, you know, the sprinting and the jumping and all of that. I think that's going to be where you're going to see it really show up. Now, competitively, though, you know, most people play on a controller, so I don't know. Kirk thinks that the embargo for Flintlock is tomorrow. I appreciate the first... Why for both? I appreciate the first DM as well. I filled it out. In this age of instant gratification and knowledge demand, let Sean have his fun. Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. Excuse me. I've always been frustrated because I like No Man's Sky and I wanted to cover No Man's Sky. A lot of the times they did stuff, but it was virtually impossible because I always put together, you know, a decent length monologue. Now my monologues are around 15 minutes. For a while there, they were around 20. And, you know, I can't do that with an emoji. Even the video that we did today, it was about that, but it also largely wasn't about that. So it's like, you know, he tweets an emoji about No Man's Sky. Dude, I'm not making a video about that. There's nothing to say. But then they suddenly drop the blog and all the info and a trailer, and I'm like, oh, okay, now what am I supposed to do? Cover that the next day when everybody's already looked at it all? So I think that's just always been a challenge, you know. The No Man's Sky channels that are equipped to cover it, it's probably great for them. But with a live environment and a discussion format and like a, you know, a well-researched and well-written monologue, I can't cover the game, you know. By 20 minutes, do you mean 35? I don't know if I ever went for 35 minutes in a monologue. I find it funny the Force has omnidirectional when it comes to running around side to side in other directions. Huh. It'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. Like, it really looked like... I remember when we watched that Black Ops 6 dev deep dive, I was like, they've really, like, rethought everything. You know? They have. We'll see if it translates into fresh experiences. Am I the only one who thinks Flintlock looks trash? I don't think it looks trash. I actually think it looks fun. But I think the issue is that we're hearing the combat was clunky in the demo. And I don't think you can have a game like that and not have the combat feel great. The combat has to feel amazing from moment one. ABK days, the monologues felt like they were longer. Oh, they probably were. I don't know if I ever hit 35 minutes. I think the longest a monologue ever went was like 28 minutes or something. That was exhausting. That was really, really difficult to do. It was. Yeah. I'm still... We'll probably get into this into the writer's room today. I've been... You know, I listened to that book on like the art of storytelling, and I've been listening to a lot of Critical Drinker. I like his stuff. I like how he breaks down movies. And he's obviously very critical, but I think it works. I especially like, you know, his videos about Star Wars and stuff. And there's something about the way that he approaches the content that, like, I feel like the lights in the room are kind of dim right now. I'm getting a sense of like what I want to do. I want the content to be different. than it has been. And I haven't quite been able to, it hasn't quite taken shape yet. Adam Lee with a gifted member. Thank you so much. It hasn't quite taken shape yet. I really want to just continue to apply the craft of like increasing value, reevaluating how I cover things, talk about things. It'd be really nice to get to a place where I'm not constantly running to Twitter to be like, well, what's happening? What's relevant? I'd rather like grab something that is obviously not irrelevant. I'm not gonna be like, all right, guys, so today we're going to talk about Diablo 1. Obviously it would need to be a relevant topic, but more from the perspective of like what I want to say. And I'm snagged right now. I don't have writer's block. I feel like I have like an evolutionary block. Like I sense there's something else, there's some other way I should be doing this, and I haven't been able to quite formulate it. It's like for a while I could sense it was in the room. It's like metaphorically, it was like the lights were out, but I could sense there was something in the room that I'm supposed to find. And I feel like the lights are kind of slowly coming on. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting a glimpse at like what I want to, what I want to do with my content. Marshmallow with 20 months and a VIP. Let's add you to the count. Member pluses and VIPs. Add to the count when they renew. Thank you very much. What made you start liking Critical Drinker? I swear you weren't the biggest fan. No, I didn't like when he talked about video games. The cowboy normally means a new expedition or a trailer is about to drop. Man, I'm losing my mind right now. So Captain Steve showing all the times that Sean Murray's made a cowboy. Yeah. Expedition or a trailer. Yeah, I didn't like when it was Critical Drinker and some other people. It was Critical Drinker and some other people talking about video games, and I thought they were completely out of their depth and they didn't know what they were talking about. But when Critical Drinker breaks down like a Star Wars show or a Star Wars movie, I think he's right on target. I like what he says. I like how he breaks things down. I also, from a content creator perspective, I like the work that he puts into the videos. I do. I like the work that he puts into it. There is, he has his way of doing things. So he sort of opens the video. He's like, all right, let's get into it. He summarizes the episode or movie very quickly. And then he moves into why he thinks it's just awful. Or sometimes he's like, why he thinks it's quite good. Like he really liked Andor. So like, I look at how he approaches it, and it's like he has his voice and he has his way of talking about things. Oh, you don't like how he speaks? Yeah, the accent and the way that he speaks can be a bit much. Sure. I just, from a content creator perspective, I like how crafted the identity and the brand is. Like, he knows exactly who he is. Yeah, that's all I've got for you for today. Go away now. Yeah. He's a normie on games for sure. It was a podcast too, so they were all kind of just shooting from the hip. So it wasn't like a video that he put a bunch of time and research into. It was just like they were shooting from the hip about games, and it was like, I don't even remember what the specific topic was. I just know that they were like completely ignorant. I was like, you guys do not know what you're talking about. I forget what game they were talking about, but I was like, oh my gosh, they are completely speaking out of turn. It would be like me talking about, I don't know. It would be like me suddenly trying to commentate on a fighting game. I couldn't do it. I don't have the expertise and the insight. I just don't. So it would be like, Lono doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why there's just certain subjects in games I just don't cover, because I'm not going to be able to bring any thoughtful analysis or commentary like at all. So I thought you didn't like him in general because he's part of a certain crowd. I mean, I do think there are people right now reviewing shows and games, and they are quick to call everything woke, and they are quick to accuse everything of a virtue signal. Right? I think they misfire. But I also think one of the reasons they misfire is because up to now, there has been a measurable pattern of shift in themes and changes. And you really notice it when he breaks down some of the problems with Star Wars and when he breaks down some of the problems with the villains. In general, he's like, what happened to villains? And so I feel like that's one of the reasons I think they're misfiring. It's like they're... it's like once you believe one conspiracy theory, you're more likely to believe other ones, right? It's like once you see a pattern, you find that pattern everywhere. Does that make sense? Halfway to platinum on college football 25 might be a problem developing here. Hey, man. Get it. Platinum in college football 25. There you go, dude. That's it, man. Get in there. Get in there, dude. You know, you got to cause fumbles and stuff, you know. Not spread. Lono's Illuminati confirmed. Yeah. You pry in the subconscious to see those things. Like, I don't think his analysis is hindered by it. I still think he does a good job of, like, eviscerating the acolyte. But I also think they go so heavy-handed on some things, I actually think it hurts the credibility. I don't think it hurts his credibility, but I think it hurts his credibility with people. Does that make sense? It's like, I feel like the video would be better if it wasn't so worried about, like, the message, as he, you know, as he says. But the dude's got 2 million subscribers, and, or is it 4 million? I don't even know how many he has now. I mean, the dude is massively successful, so, it, you know, it's hard to argue with. Yeah, 2 million subscribers. You know, he's making videos that the, you know, his audience is responding to, you know. I mean, I can't imagine putting together a 10-minute video breaking down an episode of a TV show and getting, you know, 1 million views. That's just crazy. You know, that's half of his sub count in one video. Like, that's just insane to me. Some of his videos on Acolyte are matching his sub count, 2 million views. Like, that's just bonkers. You know, he's definitely, I would say he's probably on a rise because of Star Wars. A lot of those guys are, you know, a lot of those channels are. You know, documenting the car crash can be really, really good for you. You know, not that he wasn't already on a rise, but, you know, sub gain numbers are up, view numbers are up. He's a successful published author, and he just made an actual movie. Yeah, like I said, listening to him talk after listening to a book on, listening to him talk after listening to a book about story writing, it was like, oh, he's actually educated. He's educated on storytelling. Don't get caught up in the sub count. It comes down to audiences. Some channels have all the kids. Well, no, I wasn't getting caught up in the sub count. What I'm saying is clearly he knows what he's doing. If he's able to match his sub count with viewership, that's a good sign. That's insane to have 2 million subscribers and to have videos hitting 1 to 2 million views. That's very, very good. That mean what I was saying is like he knows what he's doing. And even if he's sort of, you know, playing to his audience, I can't blame him. I can't blame him. You know your audience. You know your audience hates all this stuff. You know your audience hates all the girl boss stuff in movies. So bang on that drum, dude. Get that bag. You know, it's hard to fault anybody for doing that. Especially when I think he's quite good at breaking down shows and movies and talking about why the character development is bad, why the writing is bad. Like, what I appreciate about what he does is he doesn't just say, oh, the writing's bad. He explains why it's bad. I always have way more respect for that. Like, if I disagree with somebody, I at least want to have something to, like, wrap my hands around. And I feel like one of the challenges is a lot of people are like, it sucks. Why? The writing's bad. Why? The pacing's bad. Why? Like, I want somebody to put meat on the bones, put substance on the scaffolding. Don't just tell me something stinks or is boring. Explain to me why. And I try to hold myself to that standard. I try not to be like, yeah, it's boring. I'm like, well, no, here's why it's boring. You know, here are the reasons that I came to this conclusion. I'm not just saying it, you know. He has to be, he is a critical gamer too. He's a critic. He has a critical gamer channel? Oh, he does. The critical gamer, 110,000. It looks like he does like about a game, about a video a month maybe. And puts up some Let's Plays. Like he did some Let's Plays with Stellar Blade. It's infuriating to have somebody like that, like basically just make a secondary gamer channel, 100,000 subscribers, like, you know, it must be nice. And then his after hours channel, almost 500,000. That's great, dude. Good for him. Who are we talking about? I was just talking, we got on Critical Drinker. I was just talking about how, we'll probably get into this into Writer's Room, just thinking through how, you know, I feel like my content's evolving a little bit now that we're focused on uploads and doing more storytelling and making videos that are more high effort. That then leads into these discussion streams. And the discussion streams are a little bit more free-flowing. Yo, Will Hancock gifts a member. Thank you so much. Bumps the line to 44. You guys got about 12 minutes to push this all the way as high as you can. And then I'll owe you some more members if you push it high enough. Remember, member pluses and VIPs, man, if you renew, it counts. It pops up, and we boost that. And I've just been listening to some of his older content. And I just love how consistent it is. I'll go back to videos that he made 2 years ago, and the only thing that I hear or sense that's different is his mic quality. Structure of the video is largely the same. The way he breaks things down, largely the same. I just like it. I'm like, okay. You know, and I want to get there. I want to get the content there. Yo, Noberto with the VIP and Belfagor with the plus. That's 2 more. Those get added to the count now. If you're a member plus or higher and you renew, thank you. Much love, homie. Just got here. What's the summary? So stoked on Hello Games. Thank you so much, Noberto. And Belfagor says, hello, everybody. Good to be back. Lono, hope you and your family had a great vacation. Thank you very much. Long and short of it is Sean Murray's been tweeting. He tweeted again today, and he's getting everybody excited and hyped up, and it seems to be hints about Light No Fire. Now, other people think it's about No Man's Sky. I think it could be somewhere in the middle. I think they could be getting ready to do something in No Man's Sky to promote, to announce, or to reveal something about Light No Fire. There's people that have thought maybe we would, like, find a planet in No Man's Sky. Oof. And then that would lead to the release of Light No Fire. So, who are we talking about? I was talking about Critical Drinker. I'm just using him as an example. I'm not saying that, like, he's the greatest content creator ever, you know. But I was using his as an example. Like, I feel like the way he approaches content, you can tell it's the way that he wants to. It's his POV. It's his identity. It's his brand. And he's been very consistent. Like I said, I'll go back and listen to like a 2-year-old video, and it sounds just like the videos he's making today. Commander G-Man with 26 months, and it's a Member Plus renewal, bumping the line to 47. Thank you so much. The ARG that is currently ongoing in No Man's Sky isn't as intense as Waking Titan was, and it has not directly mentioned Light No Fire yet. I guess the ARG goes beyond the fourth wall in many ways soon. That's the theory that I've been going with, is that they're going to do something like that. They're going to do something inside of No Man's Sky to, you know, unlock or reveal or announce something with Light No Fire. Yeah. It's, I mean, they don't have to do that, but I think that they could. I think it's very much hellogames style. It's Sean Murray style. It's, you know, it's all those things. I don't know if they're going to link the games lore-wise, but I definitely think they could connect the announcements. They could connect, you know, the reveal. Asmongold's your favorite big streamer? I mean, he's at a point where he's just a content creating machine. I mean, he literally just sits, reacts to tweets, reacts to articles, reacts to videos, reacts to Reddits, and it all has a place to go. Like, it's just... I don't honestly think you could model I don't think you could model a content creation plan around what he does. I don't think that you could. Because I think he succeeds in two ways, right? I think he succeeds because his ability to quickly break something down and make it entertaining and funny and go back and forth with chat, he's obviously honed that skill. But I also think he just has so much volume. It's so much volume. He can upload a video about Amber Heard and then the next day upload a video about Diablo, and they'll both get crazy viewership. And it's just like the volume just carries it. Change your accent tomorrow to that of a snarky Englishman and your sub count will jump by 10,000. A lot of it is the accent. I mean, I don't know about that. I don't know if an accent's a surefire way to get growth. He's got a cardboard cutout of Critical Trigger right next to him. No, I don't. He's also cultivated a personality that people can make fun of. He's bald. He's a slob. He then makes content off people making fun of him. Yeah, I mean, he's definitely turned himself into the quintessential "I'm rubber, you're glue." Like, you can't hurt him. You know what I mean? You can't hurt him. It's honestly impressive. It is. Like, oh, you're gonna make fun of me, call me a loser, you know, fall for his bait about I hope they don't make this game political, like they've done like every year, and then he'll just farm it for content. All you do is feed him. When somebody makes a horror game around you, you've made it. That's right. I only watch Lono even if I disagree with him. Well, I appreciate that, Race. Thank you. You've never seen him, just heard his voice? Who? He lives in a messy room, eats terribly, he's got a lot of money. I mean, it would probably, well, I don't know if it would surprise you. It might surprise you that a lot of content creators are like that. They just don't let you see it. You know, they're living in filth because streaming is all that matters, and they make insane money. You know, and they probably eat like garbage, have terrible sleeping patterns. You know, there's a lot of that. Oh, you've never actually seen Critical Drinker? Just heard his face. He's been on podcasts and stuff. Well, I mean, you can see his face in his avatar, but that's old. You know, he doesn't quite look like that anymore. So All right, guys, in about 5 minutes, we're going to go to Writer's Room. We need 3 more members to hit 50, and I'll drop another 5 bomb. So you guys got a little bit of time to hit that number. Let me go ahead and schedule Writer's Room now. And we set this up so Writer's Room should not hit your notifications. I don't like to inundate you guys. XQC showed a pile of fast food next to him. Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of those guys. Yeah. Excuse me. Let's see here. Writer's Room. There we go. All right. Let me set up redirect. There it is, my man Stonespire. Always bumping the line with those single gifted, dude. Thank you so much. Taking us to 48 members on the day. Good to see you, Stonespire. And another one. Stonespire's like, I will not stand to see a 47 at the end of a stream. And another one. Taking us to 50. I owe you guys 5. Let me do the 5. Boom. And there's the 5 that I owe you. Another strong day for the channel, guys. Thank you so much. A little bit of a lighter turnout for the talk show and the upload, but that's normal after taking a break. An AOZ with the Agent of Chaos. He's like, well, we're not going to sit here on a happy little 50. No, sirree. I'm not pointing fingers, but some of our members may be struggling with OCD. That's right. That's right. AOZ says, missed it. You really missed it. You did it after I did my 5. I was really behind. I'd already done the 5 for the 50, AOZ. You're like, all right, here I come. I'm going to do it. I'm going to drop a single. Let me get a link for Writer's Room. Boom. Did we finish Alan Wake 2? No. All right. I'll put the link in Discord. There we go. All right, that's the link of where we're going. Thanks so much for being a member to the channel. This is going to be another Writer's Room. Behind the scenes look at how we plan the shows, think about the topics, and we'll be getting into some just thoughts about the content and thoughts about how to structure the content and think through. I'm continuing to think through how I want to tell stories and how I want to make the videos. So those of you that have been supporting those uploads, thank you so much for doing that. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring everybody over. And we talked light, no fire today. And we were off to a pretty good start. And then